Today we're going to look at some PlayStation bangers in this mid-year sale under $5. I am going to start with Chain Climb Together at 65% off for $2.09. This is a co-op climbing game where you and a partner are literally chained together trying to scale increasingly difficult terrain. The physics make it hilarious and frustrating in equal measure, and it is one of those games where you and your friend are constantly blaming each other for falling. Then we got 8-Bit Armies at 86% off for $2.09. A colorful real-time strategy game with a fun toy soldier aesthetic, kind of like a lighter version of Command & Conquer. It is not the deepest RTS out there, but for $2. If you have any interest in the genre, it is a fun little throwback. Then we got the House of the Dead remake at 90% off for $2.49. The classic arcade zombie light gun shooter, remade with modern visuals. It is short and it is pure arcade fun. You are just blasting through waves of zombies. For $2.50, it is a fun nostalgic experience, especially if you remember the original. Then we got Broforce at 80% off for $2.99. Pure, chaotic side-scrolling action with action movie parody characters. Brobocop, Rambro, Ellen Ripbro, the whole crew. Everything is destructible. The levels are constantly exploding, and in co-op it is just absolutely unhinged. Then we got Overcooked at 80% off for $3.39. The original chaotic cooking co-op game that started the whole genre. You and friends scrambling to prepare and serve orders in increasingly insane kitchen environments. $3.39 for one of the most beloved co-op games ever made is just ridiculous value. Then we got Titanfall 2 at 80% off for $3.99. I will say it every single time this game goes on sale. The best single player FPS campaign ever made. The movement, the level design, the story with BT. Then we got Firewatch at 80% off for $3.99. A first-person narrative game where you are a fire lookout in the Wyoming wilderness and the only contact you have is a woman on the other end of a radio. The writing is incredibly sharp, the atmosphere is beautiful, and the story builds to something really powerful. Then we got Shenmue I and II at 85% off for $4.49. Two of the most historically important games ever made for under $5. Shenmue basically invented open world game design before anyone else knew what that was. They are slow and they feel their age. But for $4.50, this is a piece of gaming history worth experiencing. Then we got 2 Point Campus at 85% off for $4.49. A charming university management sim where you are building campuses and keeping students happy. It is lighthearted and funny and genuinely relaxing to just tinker with. Then we got LEGO Marvel Superheroes at 75% off for $4.99. The original LEGO Marvel game and still one of the best in the series. Huge roster of Marvel characters, a fun open world Manhattan, and that classic LEGO humor throughout. Then we got Star Wars Battlefront Ultimate Edition at 75% off for $4.99. The 2015 Battlefront with all the DLC included in the Ultimate Edition. Big cinematic Star Wars battles across iconic locations. The online community has thinned out over the years, but $5 for the complete Star Wars Battlefront experience is still solid value. Then we got Wolfenstein The New Order at 75% off for $4.99. Still one of the best single player shooters ever made over 10 years later. Alternate history 1960s where the Nazis won. Incredible gunplay. Surprisingly emotional story. Then we got Just Cause 3 at 75% off for $4.99. Pure open world chaos with a grappling hook and a wingsuit and an entire Mediterranean island to blow up in increasingly creative ways. It never gets old finding new ways to cause mayhem, and $5 for this much fun is a great deal. Then we got The Evil Within at 75% off for $4.99. A survival horror game from Shinji Mikami, the creator of Resident Evil, and it shows. Really tense, resource scarce, and full of genuinely terrifying enemy design. Then we got Dishonored Definitive Edition at 75% off for $4.99. One of the best stealth action games ever made, with incredible levels that you can approach in completely different ways using supernatural powers. The Definitive Edition includes all the DLC. $5 for the complete Dishonored experience is just an outstanding deal. Then we got Moving Out at 80% off for $4.99. A co-op physics game where you are a moving company throwing furniture into a van as chaotically as possible. The ragdoll physics make every job hilariously unpredictable. It's one of the funniest couch co-op games out there, and it's a great deal. Then we got The Sinking City at 90% off for $4.99, a detective game set in a flooded Lovecraftian city in the 1920s, where you are piecing together a dark mystery without the game holding your hand. The atmosphere is genuinely unsettling and the detective work feels real. Then we got Wolfenstein The Old Blood at 75% off for $4.99, a prequel to The New Order set in Castle Wolfenstein, and it is a really solid standalone game in its own right. If you enjoyed The New Order, this is more of that same great first-person action for $5. Then we got Hotline Miami at 50% off for $4.99, the iconic neon-drenched top-down action game that influenced an entire generation of indie games. Fast, brutal, stylish, and with an incredible soundtrack. The 50% discount is the smallest on this list, but $5 for one of the most influential indie games ever made is still a really solid deal. And then we got Mark of the Ninja Remastered at 75% off for $4.99, one of the best 2D stealth games ever made. You are a ninja moving through levels using shadows and sound to avoid or eliminate enemies, and the way the game visualizes what your enemies can see and hear is incredibly clever. $5 for this remastered version is a fantastic way to end this list.